Most people think Allah changes your life with noise, a big miracle, a sudden win, a dramatic moment everyone can see. That is wrong. When Allah is truly done teaching you, life does not explode. It becomes quiet. No announcements, no public proof, no applause. Just a deep, calm shift inside you that changes everything outside you. You stop chasing, you stop begging, you stop forcing, and strangely, things begin to fall into place without effort. This message is not for everyone. It is for the one who has cried, waited, lost, and stayed patient longer than they thought they could. If that is, you listen carefully. There was a time when every hardship came with noise inside your head. Your heart kept asking questions your mind could not answer. Why did this happen when you were sincere? Why did things fall apart when you were trying your best? Why did Allah allow something you never asked for? Those questions felt endless, heavy, and exhausting. You replayed moments again and again, hoping logic would bring peace. You searched for reasons in people, timing, and circumstances. You thought understanding the cause would heal the pain. But the more you asked why, the more restless your heart became. Answers did not calm you. They only created more questions. Your soul was tired long before your situation changed. At that stage, why felt like survival. You believed that if you understood everything, you could endure anything. But Allah was teaching you something deeper than explanations. He was showing you that the heart does not heal through answers. It heals through surrender. And surrender does not come quickly. Slowly, something shifts without announcement. You wake up one day and notice the questions are quieter. The pain may still exist, but the interrogation stops. You are no longer demanding reasons from Allah, not because life is easy, but because your heart has softened. Trust begins to replace resistance. You realize that why was never the real issue. The issue was fear of what the pain meant. Fear that it was pointless. Fear that it was unfair. Fear that Allah had forgotten you. When that fear dissolves, the questions lose their grip. When Allah is done teaching you, He removes the need to understand everything. You stop needing to connect every dot. You stop trying to force meaning out of every wound. You accept that some lessons only reveal themselves later. Some never need to be explained at all. And that becomes enough. Your heart reaches a place where silence feels safer than answers. You no longer interrogate your destiny. You stop comparing your journey to others. You accept that Allah's plan is not required to make sense to you. It is only required to be wise. And Allah is always wise. There is a calm that enters when why leaves. A calm that does not depend on circumstances improving. It exists even when the situation remains unresolved. This calm is not denial. It is spiritual maturity. It is the heart bowing before the decree. You begin to understand that questioning Allah endlessly was never strength. It was pain speaking through confusion, and Allah was patient with you during that stage. He did not punish you for asking. He allowed you to grow through it. Then He gently moved you beyond it. At this stage, your duṟāqq changes. You stop asking for explanations. You start asking for steadiness. You ask for a sound heart instead of clear answers. You ask for trust instead of timelines. Your prayers become quieter, but deeper. You realize that Allah never owed you explanations. Yet He gave you something better. He gave you peace without conditions. A peace that does not need clarity to survive. A peace that stands even in uncertainty. That is a rare gift. Your relationship with Allah becomes less transactional. You no longer worship Him only when things make sense. You worship Him because He is Allah, because He sees what you cannot, because His knowledge surrounds what you only glimpse. That realization settles deeply in the soul. You also stop demanding closure from people. You stop needing apologies to move forward. You stop needing situations to resolve perfectly. You learn that Allah closes doors in ways humans never could, and His closure does not require conversations. It requires acceptance. This is where true reliance begins. Not the kind spoken about casually, but the kind built through exhaustion and surrender, where you finally admit you cannot carry everything alone, where you let Allah carry what broke you, and you feel lighter because of it. You no longer see every delay as punishment. You stop assuming hardship means rejection. You understand that Allah teaches through absence as much as presence, through loss as much as gain, through silence as much as answers. And that understanding changes how you breathe. At this stage, your heart stops arguing with destiny. You still make effort, but without desperation. You still hope, but without obsession. You move forward without dragging the past behind you, because you trust that Allah already handled what you released. That trust becomes your strength. You start recognizing wisdom in things you once resented, not all at once, but gently, over time. A memory no longer stings the same way. A loss no longer defines you. You see how Allah protected you through what you disliked. This is when you realize the lesson was never about answers. It was about alignment. Aligning your heart with Allah's decree. Aligning your expectations with His wisdom. Aligning your patience with His timing. Once alignment happens, resistance fades. You notice that others still ask why loudly, and you understand them because you were there once. But you no longer feel the need to join that struggle. You silently make du'a for them, because you know this stage cannot be rushed. It must be lived. By the time Allah is done teaching you, why feels unnecessary. Not because life stopped testing you, but because your heart learned how to rest. You accept that Allah knows what you do not, and that knowledge is enough for you. There was a time when small things could ruin your entire day. A word, a memory, a message, or even silence from someone mattered too much. Your heart reacted before your mind could slow it down. Pain arrived quickly and stayed longer than it should have. You felt everything deeply, sometimes too deeply, and that sensitivity became a heavy burden. You did not choose to be affected so easily. Your heart was simply attached to people, expectations, outcomes, and hopes. When any of those were shaken, you were shaken too. What hurt most was not the event itself, it was how much power it had over you. Back then, healing felt impossible. You thought strength meant forcing yourself to stop feeling. You tried distractions, distance, and silence. But nothing worked for long, because Allah was not trying to numb you. He was preparing to strengthen you. Slowly, without you noticing the exact moment, something changes. The same situations appear again. The same people say the same things. But your reaction is different, not forced, natural. You notice that your heart no longer jumps at every trigger. The pain still exists, but it does not control you. You feel it, acknowledge it, and move forward. It does not stay with you all day. It does not steal your sleep. It does not define your mood. This is not emotional coldness. This is emotional protection. Allah does not harden the heart when He finishes teaching you. He stabilizes it. He teaches it how to feel without falling apart. That balance only comes through experience. What once felt unbearable now feels manageable, not because it became lighter, but because times became stronger. Your inner foundation is no longer weak. It does not crack under pressure. It holds steady. You begin to realize that pain only had power because the lesson was unfinished. Once the lesson is learned, pain loses its voice. It may knock, but it is no longer invited in. You understand that Allah does not repeat lessons unnecessarily. When you learn, He moves you forward, and that forward movement brings relief. You stop replaying old conversations in your head. You stop imagining different outcomes. You stop wishing people were different. You accept what happened without arguing with it. Acceptance does not erase memory. It removes its sting. This stage surprises you the most, because you did not work hard to reach it. It arrived as a gift, a quiet reward for patience you did not think you had. Allah strengthened you in ways you never asked for, and you realize He was always watching. You also stop explaining your pain to people, not because you are hiding it, but because you no longer need validation for it. You understand what you survived, and that understanding is enough. You carry it with dignity. What once made you desperate now makes you cautious. What once made you chase now makes you pause. You choose carefully where you give your heart. You protect your emotional space without guilt. This is not fear. It is wisdom. When Allah is done teaching you, He removes emotional dependence. You no longer need others to feel whole. You are content within yourself. You still value connection, but you do not cling to it. That independence brings peace, and peace attracts what belongs to you. You notice that situations end without drama now. You let go without speeches. You detach without anger. There is no need to prove anything. You trust Allah to handle what you release, and He always does. This lesson teaches you that pain was never your enemy. Attachment was. Once attachment loosens, pain fades naturally. Allah teaches you to hold things lightly, so when they leave, they do not tear you apart. That is mercy. You also become more compassionate toward others. You understand how pain shapes people, but you no longer allow their pain to become yours. You help where you can. You step back where you must. That balance protects your soul. You realize that healing did not make you weaker. It made you grounded. You can face difficulty without panic. You can face loss without collapse. You can face uncertainty without fear. That is real strength. By the time Allah is done teaching you, pain becomes a signal, not a sentence. It informs you, but it does not imprison you. You listen to it briefly, then move on. Your heart knows when to stop holding on and when to let go. That knowledge is priceless. This is when you understand that nothing truly written for you can harm you, and nothing not written for you is worth suffering over. Your heart finally believes that truth, not intellectually, but deeply. There was a time when effort felt like struggle. You pushed, chased, explained, and tried to hold things together. You believed that if you tried harder, things would work out. You thought persistence could fix everything, but deep inside, you felt exhausted, because what you were forcing never flowed naturally. You mistook anxiety for effort. You thought pressure meant commitment. You believed forcing was a sign of sincerity. So you kept holding doors that Allah was quietly closing. Every step forward felt heavy, yet you blamed yourself, not the resistance. At that stage, letting go felt like failure. You feared that if you stopped pushing, everything would disappear. You were afraid that ease meant loss, so you stayed in struggle longer than necessary. Allah allowed it, not to punish you, but to show you the cost of forcing. Then one day, you reach a point of tiredness that changes you. Not physical tiredness, spiritual tiredness. The kind that makes you stop fighting reality. You realize that effort should not feel like desperation, and love should not feel like survival. When Allah is done teaching you, your hands loosen naturally. You do not drop things in anger. You release them in trust. You stop gripping what keeps slipping, and for the first time, you feel relief instead of fear. That relief is a sign of growth. You begin to recognize resistance as guidance. When something requires constant pushing, it is a warning. Allah does not write peace in struggle that never settles. You learn that what is meant for you moves toward you. It does not need to be dragged. It arrives with calm, not chaos. You also stop explaining yourself endlessly. You stop convincing people of your worth. You stop justifying your needs. If something belongs in your life, it will not require persuasion. And if it leaves, it was never anchored. That understanding saves you from exhaustion. This lesson changes how you make decisions. You still plan, you still take action, but you no longer panic when things do not work immediately. You allow space for Allah to intervene, and that space brings clarity. You notice how different ease feels. Ease does not mean no effort. It means effort without anxiety, movement without resistance, progress without emotional strain. That is the difference between forcing and flowing. When Allah is done teaching you, patience replaces pressure. You trust that delays carry protection. You stop racing against time. You stop comparing your path to others. You walk at the pace Allah set for you, and that pace is always right. You also learn to accept no without breaking. A closed door no longer humiliates you. It redirects you. You do not beg for access to places Allah removed you from. You thank Him for the redirection, because you now understand its mercy. Your relationships change at this stage. You stop overgiving. You stop over-explaining. You stop holding on alone. Mutual effort becomes non-negotiable. Anything one-sided quietly fades. You no longer see letting go as loss. You see it as alignment. Alignment with Allah's wisdom. Alignment with your peace. Alignment with what truly fits your life. That alignment feels lighter than struggle ever did. This lesson also humbles you. You realize that control was an illusion. Allah was always in charge. Your role was effort, not outcome. Once you accept that, pressure disappears, and trust fills the space. You notice that opportunities now arrive without force. People show up willingly. Doors open smoothly. Conversations happen without tension. You are not chasing anymore. You are responding. When Allah is done teaching you, surrender becomes strength. Not passive surrender, but active trust. You do what you can, then step back. You let Allah complete what you cannot. That balance brings peace. You stop fearing that ease means something is wrong. You realize ease is a sign of alignment, a sign that you are moving with qadr, not against it. Struggle no longer defines your worth. Your sincerity does, and Allah sees it fully. At this stage, your heart becomes calmer in uncertainty. You are no longer frantic about the future. You know that what is written cannot miss you, and what misses you was never written. That truth settles deeply, and it frees you. By the time Allah is done teaching you, forcing feels foreign. You can sense when something is not meant for you. You step away early, without regret, because you trust Allah more than your attachment, and that trust changes everything. There was a time when being understood felt necessary. You wanted people to see your intentions clearly. You needed them to know you were not wrong. You explained yourself again and again, hoping clarity would bring peace. But the more you explained, the heavier you felt. Because peace never comes from convincing others. You believed that if people truly understood you, the pain would stop. That validation would heal the wound. That being right would bring closure. But Allah was teaching you something quietly. Not everyone needs to understand your journey. Some people are only meant to witness it briefly. When Allah is done teaching you, your need to prove disappears. You stop defending your character to those committed to misunderstanding you. You realize that explanations drain you more than silence ever could. So you choose stillness, not out of fear, out of wisdom. You begin to notice how much energy arguments were stealing, how much peace you were sacrificing just to be right, how often you replayed conversations in your head. Allah shows you that inner calm is more valuable than public agreement. And once you see that, you cannot unsee it. Your priorities shift. At this stage, silence becomes intentional. You no longer speak to correct every false assumption. You let people think what they want, because Allah knows the truth. and his knowledge carries more weight than human opinion. That realization frees you. You stop reacting immediately. You pause before responding. You ask yourself one question: will this disturb my peace? If the answer is yes, you step back. Not every comment deserves access to your heart. Not every situation deserves your voice. When Allah is done teaching you, you no longer confuse noise with strength. Loud reactions lose their appeal. You see how calm unsettles chaos, how composure carries authority, how dignity speaks louder than defense. This lesson changes how you carry yourself. You also stop explaining your boundaries. You set them quietly. No long speeches, no guilt. You simply move differently. Those who respect you will adjust. This stage reveals something uncomfortable. Some people only valued you when you were emotionally available for conflict. When you stop engaging, they feel exposed. Your calm removes their power, and that makes them uncomfortable. You learn to be okay with that. You begin to protect your peace like something fragile and sacred. You do not invite everyone into your inner world. You choose carefully who hears your thoughts, who knows your struggles, who has access to your vulnerability. This selectiveness is growth. You also stop needing immediate closure. You accept unresolved endings. You allow stories to remain incomplete, because not every chapter needs explanation. Some chapters end simply because their purpose is done, and that is enough. When Allah is done teaching you, you trust that He will clear your name if needed, and if He does not, you still move forward. You realize reputation in the hearts of people is temporary, but peace in your heart is lasting. You choose the lasting. Every time, your reactions become slower and softer, not because you are weak, but because you are no longer triggered easily. You understand yourself better. You are not at war with your emotions anymore. You are guiding them. This lesson also changes how you deal with conflict. You do not escalate. You do not chase resolution. You state your truth once, calmly. Then you step back. You let Allah handle the rest. You start recognizing that peace is a form of risk. Not everyone is granted it, and not everyone deserves access to it. You guard it without apology, because losing peace is expensive, and gaining it took time. You stop engaging in battles that offer no spiritual reward. You ask yourself whether Allah is pleased with your response. If not, you choose restraint. This makes your actions more intentional, and your heart lighter. That lightness is a sign of alignment. By the time Allah is done teaching you, proving feels unnecessary. You do not need witnesses to your sincerity. Allah is enough, and when Allah is enough, noise fades, peace remains. At first, you do not understand what changed. You are still the same person on the surface. Same voice, samifatse, same habits. Yet something in how people respond to you feels different. Some people suddenly become softer around you. They listen more carefully. They choose their words. Others become distant without explanation, and a few seem uneasy in your presence. This shift is not random. When Allah is done teaching you, your inner state changes, and people respond to inner states more than words. You no longer carry desperation. You no longer seek approval. Your energy becomes settled. That calm is felt, even if it is never spoken. Before, people felt comfortable crossing your boundaries. They spoke carelessly. They assumed your silence meant weakness. But now, they hesitate. Not because you are intimidating, but because you are no longer available for misuse. You notice that some people pull away quietly, not out of hatred, but because your growth no longer matches their comfort. You remind them of a version of themselves they avoided becoming. Your peace reflects what they lack, and reflection can be uncomfortable. At the same time, new people enter your life naturally. No chasing, no effort. They meet you where you are. They respect your space. They add calm instead of chaos. This is alignment, not coincidence. You also realize that not everyone deserves the same access anymore. Some conversations stop happening. Some invitations no longer come. Some connections fade without conflict. And instead of feeling rejected, you feel relieved, because your energy is no longer being drained. When Allah is done teaching you, your presence becomes honest. You are not performing. You are not people-pleasing. You show up as you are. Those who like the performance leave. Those who value truth stay. This stage reveals who was attached to your availability, not your essence. When you stop overgiving, some people disappear. When you stop explaining, some misunderstand you on purpose. And when you stop chasing, some stop running. This clarity hurts briefly, but it heals deeply. You begin to notice respect where there was none before. Not loud respect, quiet respect. People consult you instead of dismissing you. They listen instead of interrupting. They sense that you are no longer seeking their validation. That changes the dynamic. Some people test you at this stage. They push old buttons. They behave the same way they always did. But your response is different. You do not react. You observe. And that observation tells you everything you need to know. When Allah is done teaching you, reactions are replaced by responses. You are no longer predictable emotionally. You do not explode. You do not collapse. You remain steady. This steadiness makes people cautious with you. You also stop feeling responsible for others' comfort. You no longer shrink yourself to fit spaces. You do not explain your growth. You let it speak on its own. Those meant to walk with you will adjust. Others will naturally fall behind. This lesson teaches you that distance is sometimes protection, not punishment. Allah removes people gently when their role is complete. You do not need dramatic endings. You simply move forward, and life rearranges itself around your growth. You begin to see that loneliness and solitude are not the same. Some distance brings clarity. It gives you room to breathe, room to think, room to strengthen your relationship with Allah. That space becomes precious. People now treat you based on who you are becoming, not who you were. And not everyone can accept that change. Some miss the version of you that tolerated less respect. But you do not go back. You cannot unlearn what Allah taught you. And you should not try. When Allah is done teaching you, relationships become honest. There is less confusion, less emotional chaos, less guessing. You see clearly who is meant to stay, and you make peace with who leaves. By the time this lesson settles, you no longer chase people. You walk your path calmly. Those written for you walk beside you. Those not written fade without resistance. And your heart finally understands that this too is mercy.